chopped off heads, fake heads and blood.
To me, riffs are fucking timeless.
You've got generations of people going to see them.
It's our best album so far.
The fans have been asking for it. They've been asking for it for years.
I would listen to it over and over and over again today.
It's that music we play, man. You're either going to like it or not.
There are satanic bands. Some of them really aren't.
We're playing the craziest drunken debauchery show we've played probably ever.
He's not in condition to be doing a podcast.
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Welcome back to Great Metal Debate Podcast. This is episode 61, summer of 2019. I'm back with my co-host Brian, and we are back doing something that we haven't done in many a moon.
Man, it's been a long time since we were able to do this. We're going to actually review and talk about some music that we like. I'm so down for this, man.
It's been a long time since we did that. That's actually how we started, man. The very first episode was just listening to music and then debating about it.
Oh, I love it, man. Yeah, screw them and their permission, man. We'll just do what we want, right? That's what metal is.
Wrong. Speaking of, first thing, we so appreciate each of these bands giving us permission to play their songs on our podcast. And with that, the ability to debate and talk about styles, preferences, etc. So before we get into anything, we strongly encourage our fans to listen to these bands, these songs, this music, buy music and merchandise from these bands, regardless of what we have to say about the particular songs.
Yes, each and every one of these bands has done us a great favor by letting us use their music, and they can encourage other fans to get in on the debate, man. That's the whole point of the thing.
Brian, we have 8 tracks that we're going to listen to, 4 that you chose and 4 that I chose. We're going to listen to them in 2-block sets, and after we listen to each couple of songs, we're going to talk about them and probably get into some debate, because I think we will have some differences of opinion.
Oh, I guarantee you we're going to have some differences of opinion. That's what we do. So let's start off with the first block, man. Start off with two songs that I picked out.
So here we go, Brian, the first 2 tracks. And when we return, we're going to have some things to say about these.
Asking for mercy, they die. Time to go and take some more.
That first song was one of my songs. It's from a band called Iron Hunter, off their album Mankind Resistance, which came out in July of 18. The song called Deathbringer. And the second song there was from Vile Child, off their Stalking the Streets album. And that song was The Final Solution.
Regarding this track, The Deathbringer, to me it was a fun, speedster kind of track. I thought there was a kind of a strong bass line there. You know, they had that classic dual guitar attack that I at times enjoy.
I got to tell you, man, I picked this song because I love it. It has intensely hard riffing melodies. It's peppered with two very good guitarists. It has a good combination of normal vocals and then high register screaming, man. I like the way this song brings me into the metal. It pulls me in and invites me to come along and be part of the show. I love Deathbringer and looking forward to listening to more from Iron Hunter.
I didn't dislike this song. I thought there were a few positive things from the Spanish heavy speed metal quintet. I'm curious, Brian, as you listen to it, what classic metal band did you find this song was most reminiscent of?
I heard elements of Priest, and then particularly in the vocals, elements of Queensryche. It brought me back to songs that I'd heard before. Even though I can't put my finger on those songs, I definitely heard those bands, Priest and Queensryche. And how can you do worse than Priest and Queensryche when it comes to metal?
See, I'm actually going to say the band that this reminded me of the most was Enforcer, that Swedish speed metal band. The rhythm, the vocals, very reminiscent of that band.
I could hear elements of that. Now that you mentioned, I could definitely hear that. And you know, that's not a bad thing, man. I love that speed metal component of it.
And I will admit, Brian, you threw me off my stride out of the gate, choosing a band not from the United States, not even from North America, but from the European continent. You chose a band from Spain. That really surprised me.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not a nationist like you are. It doesn't have to be a particular country or continent that sends me the metal. I just like what I like. You know me, man. I either like it or I don't. I don't give a shit where it's from.
I am a fan of European metal generally. These guys, not too bad. Not something that I would normally pick out, but I was impressed with the song.
Okay, I'll take that. That's good enough, man. What about the second song? What about Vile Child? Listen, on that Final Solution, that's more of a driving tempo compared to Iron Hunter's avalanche of cordage. Vile Child takes me away to a place where the pounding riffs lead me to battle. And with this backing music, I win that battle, although my neck is very sore after it's over with. I love the way this music, the best way to describe it is it takes me to another place in time where I can live out the battle that is pounding, driving metal. I love that part of that song.
Brian, this song took me to a place I don't want to go. This was much more of an American metal-ish track with its hint of thrash guitar and vocal, especially toward the end of the song. I'll admit there's a nice melody to it, but I've heard a million songs like this. A million American bands have created this exact same song. You don't need to stalk the streets for this album because it's been written in 2018, 2017, all the way back to the 80s. This is the same song and album that I've heard over and over again. I just want to hear something new.
Oh, you're a nationist dick, man. I swear. It pisses me off so much that you just dismiss bands because of where they're from. It's not whether you like the music or not. It's because they sound like something else. What if you like that sound? It doesn't matter if it sounds like something else. Do you like the music?
It was okay the first time I heard this song back in the 80s. But for the millionth time I heard the same song over again, I just don't need it. They're not doing anything interesting.
That's why you're not a metal fan. You're a metal faddist. You like what's new. And what's new isn't always what's good.
Well, Brian, I don't think we're going to agree about those songs. Let's listen to a couple more, a couple that I chose, and when we come back, we will continue the debate.
Never want to come back.
was Swedish melodic heavy metalers Carmilla with Devil's Feast off Deflector from 2019. And then following that, Greek symphonic metal band Neperia with Drawing New Worlds, the title track from their album in 2018. Brian, in choosing these 2 and in total 4 songs, I wanted to go through what I consider to be the apex of modern metal. And so for these first 2, I chose what I believe to be the 2 strongest metal subgenres, melodic death metal and symphonic metal. I think those 2 styles are the apex of the evolution of heavy metal music, and that these 2 songs are very pure embodiments. All 4 songs that I chose this episode, they are very straightforward, very simplistic. They're not long songs. Almost all of them are about 4 minutes in length. So they're very simple, very straightforward, and I think they very much embody the subgenre that they represent.
As usual, you have mistaken the goth emo genre for metal and miscategorized every freaking thing. I don't understand how you call some of the bands you call metal. You have strayed so far from the definition of that word that it makes me vomit. My vomiting sounds more like metal than some of the songs you picked to like. And I don't get it, man. I mean, it's like you dismiss everything that was metal and redefine the genre.
Again, Brian, I think that the highest level of heavy metal is melodic death metal. You have the classic metal sound, you have death metal, which I think was a game changer for heavy metal. Heavy metal would have gone the way of the dodo if it weren't for death metal. Death metal saved metal from dissolving into the morass of glam and spam and bullshit that emerged out of the 80s. Metal, under the auspices of terrible bands like Metallica, was dissolving into pop music until death metal came along and saved it. But melodic death metal retains the melody that you have in power metal. I just think it's so amazing. Carmilla is a great example. They don't hold necessarily to the Gothenburg sound. They have their own sound. Melodic death metal is an amazing sound. There's so many varieties of it. You can go in so many different directions with melodic death metal, and I think what Carmilla does is a beautiful example of that. They have the harsh vocals. They also have the clean vocals. A very simple song, but a very direct one.
First of all, you use the word beautiful to describe metal, and that's just so far off base, it's ridiculous. Listen, you miscategorize. This is not melodic metal. You miscategorize this. The guitars are basic and repetitive, even for me, man. It reminds me of Alyssa White Gloves when she plays her stuff. Listen, my question for you on this band is, with the guitars, it makes me think you're finally coming over to the metalcore dark side. Is that what you're doing? Do you like metalcore now? Because that's kind of what this band is.
I'm not hearing much core sound there. What do you think about this would be hardcore? They're playing metal riffs. If anything, I think there's a critique how death metal is this song. It's a little more classic metal sound as far as the riffs.
See, the fact that you think this is melodic, this is just, I think you've just completely miscategorized this song, man. I mean, there were components of this song that I liked, but it's so just basic, and I couldn't believe you picked the song, actually.
And when you say it's basic, flesh that out a little bit more. I'm not sure what you're saying about that.
There's no spice to it with electric solos. It's just, it's the same pounding thing over and over again. That's why I called it metalcore. It's probably not true metalcore, but it definitely has elements of that music in it. And
I just don't hear the hardcore punk element there at all.
I think we're going to have to disagree on this one, because although there was music that I enjoyed in this song, I wouldn't have picked it.
I don't think they hold to the pure Gothenburg style. No one's going to mistake this band for Dark Tranquility or In Flames, but still they have that classic melodic death metal sound, and I'm a huge fan of Carmilla. I encourage people to check out this album, Deflector, a great band from Sweden. And the second song I chose, Niperia, off their album Drawing New Worlds. The title track from that album. Brian, what I love about this album is symphonic metal and, of course, the death metal vocals, growls, deep, straight out of hell, and then the soaring, crystal clear operatic vocals. A beautiful song. And beyond the vocal styles, this is just, it's really straight. Other than that, when you get away from the vocals, if you just played this as an instrumental, it would be pure power metal, pure European power metal.
I can't believe you just said that shit. You call this power? Listen, first of all, the word Greek and symphonic should never appear in the same sentence with metal because those two things are antithetic to metal. And listen, here we go again with a song with a promising start ruined by the fucking synthesizers, man. Listen, the song doesn't grab me by the balls and drag me. It plays with my balls and begs me to get in touch with my feelings and talk about the beauty of the world. How far are you going to throw metal under the bus? This song is a classic example of your misdiagnosis of what metal is.
Set the vocals aside. I think the vocals are what make this song. If this was just played as an instrumental, this would be a classic power metal song, the likes of Blind Guardian, classic power metal with the high operatic vocals, the symphonic backing, and then the addition, which I think takes it over the top, of the death metal growls.
I defy you to find a power metal band that started in the 80s or early 90s that sounds like this. This is classic Yanni, if you ask me. This is new age music. This is white noise music. The synthesizers dominate this song. There's no distortion. There's no head-banging moment to this. It's all swaying to the motion of the beautiful music. It's not metal.
I don't know where you're coming from with this. It's like you're living in a bizarro world. When I listen to power metal bands like Rhapsody of Fire, Serenity, Angra, Stradivarius, if you don't accept this as power metal, how do you accept Blind Guardian as power metal?
I don't accept Blind Guardian as power metal. It's synthesizer metal. I'm creating a new genre right freaking now. There's a genre called synthesizer metal, and it's not a very good genre.
Well, of course, synthesizers are used by a variety of different bands.
But they don't dominate the song.
If you talk about classic metal bands like Dio, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, they all use synthesizers.
I don't hear them. What I hear is guitars, distortion, drums, screaming vocals. It drowns out the background noise of the synthesizer.
You're saying that...
The way it should be. I don't hear the synthesizers in classic metal from the 80s and early 90s. I just don't hear it. And I'm glad of that.
It strikes me as interesting that you say, and I'm glad of that. It's not merely an objective statement of, I happen not to hear it, but you make a value judgment of, and that's good. Is it possible Is it possible that you're not actually listening to the music closely?
Oh, you can suck it, my friend. I know every single lick, every single chord. I know where the synthesizers come in and where the sound comes in, and they use it minimally. It's a background noise. It's the backing of the real metal, the guitars, the drums, and the vocals and the bass.
This sounds like word salad to me, Brian. I mean, anyone who questions whether Blind Guardian is power metal, you should be sent to a forced labor camp for re-education. But let's try to get back on track now by listening to a couple more metal tracks.
those two songs were Lucifer's Hammer singing Traitors of the Night off of Time is Death, and then Stormbat off of Decolonization, a song called Free Leonard Peltier. One of my favorite songs that I picked, man. Listen, let me just talk about Lucifer's Hammer for a second. That has definite echoes of Iron Maiden. And you know how I love nostalgia. I know how you love it too, Gomthog. The production quality on the vocals is a bit sketchy, but it's a small matter compared to the deluge of distorted sound. Harmonizing guitars, playing real 4/4 timed metal, take me to a better time, or is it a new time? The solo was epic and adds to the song, something that your songs lack quite a bit. Good solos. Not a side note like most of the music you listen to, but an actual part of the song that spices up the entire thing, man. I love this track, and I'm going to listen to a lot more of Lucifer's Hammer.
Brian, I will take the solo in Drawing New Worlds over the solo in this song every day of the week. It's much more metal. It's much more interesting. This is fine.
Would you say it's much more beautiful?
If you want a rehash of a band that sounds like Iron Maiden, this is fine. I mean, I don't dislike...
Yes, that's what I want.
It's basically just a band creating new Iron Maiden songs in their style. I mean, do something new, please.
I don't understand your obsession with the new. It's almost like you think there's something that's going to hurt you if you return to the days of old. I just don't get that. To me, you're missing a lot of great music.
I don't mind a band 95% of what they do being a rehash, but surely 5% can be new. But with Lucifer's Hammer, they're hammering me with 100% old 80s rehash. Try something new. A little, just an iota of freshness would be helpful to me.
It's beyond me. It's totally beyond me why you hate that so much. What about Stormbat? You want new? The Free Leonard Peltier? It's topical. It's new. It's a song that it doesn't just grab me by the balls. It grabs me by the balls and then beats me with a hammer for about 4 minutes and 41 seconds. It's a weird combo of kind of like metalcore and death and thrash. Three things I honestly love. And the song speaks to me. Listen, now this is something you won't understand, but it's true. It speaks to my metal spirit. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go, and don't stop until we're spent. Okay? It's primal. It's feral, wild, and untamed. It begs me to join it in protest of the unjust, and it wants me to march with them in the pit. It's a song that supports the brotherhood of metal. It invites you in to join them in this great chaos.
So I heard the thrash elements. I did not hear any death elements. I didn't hear any core elements. To me, Stormbat is kind of a thrash groove band. It's certainly the most distinctly American metal of the tracks that you chose. To me, this is every local band I've ever heard. And I'm just like, what do you find appealing about this, Brian?
Okay, why do you dismiss it? Because it's like every American band you've ever heard. You automatically turn a deaf ear to that music. I just don't. You miss out on so much good music.
When I hear something like Stormbat, I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm headbanging.
It's
something
just,
you're not accustomed to.
I wish they would decolonize America and move somewhere else, because we don't need any more of this here.
You're such a dick, man. You just immediately, you're a nationist. You're not a racist. You're a nationist. You don't like music from America based on that definition alone, and I can't accept any argument you have beyond that, because you just don't like it because it sounds like the 80s and because it sounds like it's from America. That's prejudice.
I mean, I will
The
say
very
this
definition.
doesn't sound like the 80s. Again, this sounds like every local metal band you're going to find in hometown USA, with apologies to Stormbat, who I think are very skilled, but in general the bands that play this style aren't very skilled, and they're collectively pulling from these styles that aren't very innovative and just are, it's lame. It's lame.
I have no argument against. I think you're hopeless when it comes to American metal. Okay, let's move on
Brian,
to your two songs.
We can't agree that metal is from Europe.
We definitely cannot agree to that. I register a protest with United Nations that you are so full of shit on that statement. I appeal to the Security Council to take away your metal card on that. It's ridiculous.
Well, while we wait on a response to your appeal, we're going to play our final two songs, and after that, we will have the ultimate showdown on our opinions about metal.
Stop! жизни, наверно, простых. Действую прямо, если мысли чисты. Когда ночью пойдет золотом колыбель, в канаве потерянный гром. Небесная флейта, луна, прошепчи, я здесь, ты меня найдешь, ты меня найдешь. Правила жизни, наверно, просты. Действую прямо, крути колесо. Когда ночью пойдет золотом колыбель, в канаве потерянный гром. Небесная флейта, луна, прошепчи, я здесь, ты меня найдешь, ты меня найдешь.
That was French black metal cult Thallium with I'm Death off their EP Act 1, The Beginning from 2015. And then following that, Russian folk metal sect Kaliva with Luna I Grosh. In choosing these four songs, I was looking at the four most impressive subgenres of metal. The first two songs, melodic death metal and symphonic metal, and then for the second two, I chose black metal and folk metal. Now, I will argue that black metal is actually the subgenre that has the most creative freedom. Like, I think that you could do the most with black metal. Again, I chose these songs with the idea of simplicity, so this is a pretty straightforward black metal song. But I think that what you can do artistically with black metal, it's like the chains are off. You could do anything with this. You can have crazy, heavy, distorted black metal. You can also have atmospheric black metal. That's the amazing range that you can have with the black metal subgenre. Similarly, folk metal, that allows you to employ so many different instruments. And again, what does it matter? You don't need distorted guitar for heavy metal.
Oh my!
You can equally have the flute or the harp to make metal sound.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Listen, your range of metal goes in and out of the definition of metal. Because you have some occasional distorted guitars and headbanging material in there, you call it a metal song. But that's not what these songs are. They move in and out of the metal genre from verse to chorus to bridge to solos. It's incredible how off definition you are with some of these songs that you pick, man. I don't understand how you have thrown metal so far under the bus.
So again, with my theme of keeping it straightforward and simplistic, this track, I'm Death, this is just straightforward black metal. This is just clean black metal, and there can be no more black metal message than to just say, I'm Death.
The single high note, high register notes as chords, it just doesn't do it for me. There are moments of guttural metal in the song by Thallium, but it can't help and return to what I think is the most off-putting sound in metal. It's like a black goth picking sound. Because you have a guitar or because you have a certain sound, you think you're metal. I just don't know how you call every part of this song metal.
So what other style would you say that this song is? What other style would you say? Would you say it's rock?
Oh no, I would call I would call this your version of metal. I would say that there are parts of this that are metal. And this is why I think you picked this song. And I think there's a huge criticism of your choice of metal. I don't think you like the metal of black metal. I think you like the black of black metal. You want to be as offensive to people who believe a certain thing as you can, and you call that metal.
Yeah, I would just say that metal is inherently offensive to posers like you who just like their pop rock.
Oh, you can pose my dick, motherfucker. That's just ridiculous. If it wasn't for the nostalgia of metal, you wouldn't have black metal bands like Thallium. They wouldn't exist. And you refuse to acknowledge that. It's a huge problem with your definition of this genre.
So again, I would ask the question, if not metal, what other style do you think that Thallium is embodying with his song "I'm Death"? Do you think it's rock?
Let me
do
be
you
clear.
think it's hardcore? Do you think it's
I think this
pop?
is a metal song. I think this is a metal song. I just think it's not very good metal in that it sounds like that traditional Gothenburg sound occasionally and enters the black metal slow, plodding, repetitive, at times boring song.
So you would say this is more like melodic death metal than black metal?
I think it's black metal. I just don't know that I like that much black metal. It's too slow. It takes too long to develop. I'm an impatient music listener. I want the song to get to it, get to the important part, get to the fast part, get to the part that drives and leads me to that place where I feel like I'm involved in some sort of aggressive battle.
I just don't know what you want. Like, again, to me, one of the beauties of black metal is how unlimited it is. It is the most unlimited subgenre of metal, in my opinion.
You're going to hate this.
And so, I'm just like, I don't understand where you're coming from. A subgenre that can contain bands like Mayhem, Dimmu Borgir, Immortal.
Let me return to my original thing that pisses you off. There's only two genres of metal. The I like it genre of metal and I don't like it genre of metal. And I evaluate each and every song different. I don't care whether it's from now or from the 80s or the 70s or the 90s. I either like it or I don't. This was not a song that I would put in my playlist and favorites. It's not necessarily it's not metal. It's just that I don't care how wide a variety black metal has. I either like it or I don't.
That's not a distinction about metal bands. Maybe that's just a distinction about music. Maybe for music you either like it or don't like it. And metal is another issue.
There's metal. No. I think that's a misnomer of the type of music that I like. I can tell when a song is metal and when it's not.
So what about non-metal bands like AC/DC? I mean, how would you evaluate them?
Fight my dick, motherfucker. Oh, I swear to God, you just suck. I don't care what you say, man. That band rocks. It rocks more than any freaking Thallium ever thought about doing.
It rocks because they're the quintessential hard rock band.
They're not
outside
hard. They are
the
metal.
genre.
Back in the 80s, they were metal. They were metal, man. They were listed in every freaking category of metal. They were metal back in the 80s. And if it wasn't for bands like AC/DC, there would be bands like Thallium.
I'm sure if you were to talk to Angus Young, he would concur with me that they are the ultimate hard rock band, and that hard rock is the appropriate silo to place them in.
You suck. You abandon everything you love. You always have, man. Pretty soon Thallium won't be metal enough for you. I know how this goes. I've seen it through the years.
Loving something is different. I will say this, I love black metal.
It's got nothing to do with love. It's whether you define it as metal or not.
Yeah,
but anyway.
All right. And the second track, Luna i Grosh by Russian folk metal sect Kalevala off their 2013 album Luna i Grosh. Brian, folk metal, it's a style that just gets me going, man. I love folk metal, and I especially love Slavic folk metal from Ukraine, from Russia. This is just an amazing track and an amazing band. You don't need electric guitar for metal. Instead, you can have the mandolin. You don't need the bass. You can have the ukulele. You don't need distorted guitar. You can have the accordion.
Yeah, I mean, you hear that at the beginning. Listen, I hated this song when I first heard it. I thought it was going to be one of your gimmick metal bands like Helvete. This song grew on me. I like the lady singing, but again, you've miscategorized the music, which you do often to support your argument. Helvete has screaming metal guitars at some point. Even the band that I can't stand that you love, Nightwish, they have metal guitars at some point.
I've seen Helvete, but those instruments sit in the background. In the foreground, high in the mix, are the violin and the hurdy-gurdy. Those are the instruments that lead the metal assault.
What, did they have a fucking monkey headbanging during the show? A hurdy-gurdy? Are you serious? We're still on this? Good God. Listen, you said it yourself. They're not high in the mix. That's what I think is the problem with your music, is that the guitars are not high in the mix. The synthesizers and the freaking balaclavas are high in the mix.
It's the accordion and the mandolin that are leading the metal assault here with Luna y Grosh.
Listen, you are so... If you say the word accordion and mandolin and metal assault in the same sentence, you're freaking delusional, dude. That's just not... Oh, my God. They may add spice to the metal part of it, but that's not the metal part of this song.
No, they are not
adding. The metal part of this song
they are the metal part of it. And the other pieces...
The metal part of this song
the other
is the guitar,
pieces
period.
are the pieces...
That's just ridiculous. The metal part of this song is the guitar.
That's pathetic.
See, you attribute too much to that. That's not what it's about.
That's pathetic. You're pathetic. Well, that's all for this time, but we'll be back soon with another metal debate. In the meantime, get caught up on all the great metal debate content. Our debate episodes, artist interviews, and fancasts on SoundCloud.com and YouTube. And if you have a topic you'd like us to debate or a band you'd like to hear us interview, let us know by tweeting us at Metal Debate. Until the next time, sell your soul for metal and defend it till your dying day.